of the areas that's commonly overlooked is the feet. We're just going to start by warming them up. Go up onto the balls of your toes, balls of your feet, and gently roll your ankles inwards and outwards. This is great exercise to not only warm up the ankles, but also stretching out the bottoms of our feet, the bottoms of our toes. And now gently perform ankle circles. So I want you to exaggerate the movements as much as you can in a reasonable manner. Obviously, if there's pain, please just work in the range of motion where you don't feel any pain, especially if you just freshly sprained your ankle or you're recovering from an ankle injury or foot injury of some sort. When we're dealing with the foot, we want to make sure our feet are strong enough to make up for the mobility that you do need to have in the feet and in the ankle. Now go up onto your toes and stretch the tops of your feet. Gently rolling your ankles inwards and outwards towards each other. If this is painful on your toes, you can place a towel underneath them and just, again, work in the range of motion that is best and most comfortable for you. You should feel no sharp pain, nothing. You should just feel a gentle stretch. And of course, ankle circles, exaggerating that movement. And now complete it the other way. We want to stretch all angles, and rotations are the best way to do that. Now, you can either stand or continue sitting. We're going to now work on strengthening the bottom of our feet. So just lift your big toe for 5 seconds. Switch and lift the rest of your toes for an additional 5 seconds. Every time we do this, we're going to take away a second. So now 4 seconds. Switch, rest your toes, 4 seconds. Down, big toe up, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Big toe, 2 seconds. Rest your toes, 2 seconds. And now we're switching 1 and switch. Do this a couple times. 1, switch. We're going to do it faster and faster. Eventually, we're going to be doing it double time. So if this is where you max out, or the 2 seconds are where you max out, just continue doing that. And keep going as best you can at your own pace. This is a great exercise for strengthening the arch and reestablishing neural connection and coordination to your feet from your brain. All right, so let's work on the strength of the tops of the feet. So we're going to start by lifting the toes and then now the rest of our foot down and down. Toes, rest the foot, and down. Focus on making all your movements today purposeful. Even though these movements and exercises may seem very simple, they are not necessarily easy, and you want to make sure you are utilizing the concept of quality over quantity. So now separate your toes, separate as much as you can. And now try to squeeze your toes together and scrunch them up. And separate your toes. Really try to space them out, spread them out, and squeeze them and scrunch them together. Again, separate, really try to reach farther every time with your toes. And scrunch them just a little bit more if you can. And space them out. If you're starting to get cramps, just pause the video. Don't worry about it. It's because you're not used to using these muscles like you are now. And scrunch just a little bit more. Every time we're trying to do a little bit better. And scrunch. And spread. And scrunch. So now let's stretch them out. We've worked them hard. Need a little bit of a resting break. An active rest, so to speak. So curl your toes right underneath your heels and sit on your heels if you can. I want you to breathe through this because if you're not used to doing this type of stretch, this can feel very tense, especially if you've ever had plantar fasciitis before. If it is too much pressure, you can lean forward to take a bit of stress off, but if you can, you're going to sit up nice and tall like I am, hands resting on my thighs, and breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every exhale, the stretch becomes easier, and it becomes, believe it or not, more and more comfortable. Now slowly retrieve your toes. It's going to feel a little stiff. And just sit on your heels and stretch out the tops of your feet. Even if you don't feel like you're doing much, oftentimes this stretch is undervalued of what it can do for the health of your feet. We're going to try again. Curl your toes underneath and sit right on top of them if you can. And this time, try to bring your heels together. This will help to get a stretch at a different area of the foot, if you can. If you can't, you can build up to this. That's the best thing about being able to do this at home. You can go at your own pace. You can pause a video when you need. And of course, you can ask me questions at any time by leaving comments in the comment box below. Slowly recover. Don't jump out of this position. Really ease yourself out of it. And this one, if you want, you can try to put your ankles together. For me, it is extremely uncomfortable because of the bony figurations of my feet. So I just leave them out. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. A few more seconds. And recover. So now let's grab a towel. We're going to strengthen and continue to strengthen underneath. You're going to do what's called towel scrunches. And you're going to literally use your toes to scrunch the towel up to get from the middle point we're starting with to the end, and try as best you can, really try to use those muscles, really get to the end of the towel as best you can. You can see my other toes kind of working as I'm really utilizing this work to get to the end of that towel. Almost at the end, so try not to stop until you reach to the end of the towel. And now we're going to actually pick the towel up and do inward and outward motions, up and down. So we're going to stick with up and down right now. So really you got to work to keep your toes scrunched as you're moving your ankle now. So this is really going to help to work the brain, help to work the muscles, to work a little bit with eccentric movements as well as concentric movements. So start in the middle of the towel, just start with that, and work to scrunch all the way to the end of the towel as best you can. You may find it easier to do on one foot versus the other, and that's normal. We all have a side that's stronger. The purpose of this video is to try and balance us out as best as possible. Because if we have healthy feet, it's just better for our knees, it's better for our hips, it's better for our back. And that is the goal. Now pick it up and point and flex the feet, all while holding the edge of the towel as best we can. If you drop it, just pick it back up and try again. Great. I want you to do this movement with the feet as I'm doing. Don't cheat and use your hands. Try to do it with your feet. Now we're going to do it at the same time. You may have to lift and adjust your heels so that you can continue to scrunch towards the edge of the towel. And now we're going to pick up edges, and now we're going to try to move our toes in and out. So see how there's a little bit of tension on the towel? That is what we want, and we want to try to see if we can almost pull so far apart. We almost, see how my one foot released there? It was because my right foot is actually stronger than my left. I injured my left when I was a dancer and a gymnast, and so my strength underneath, as you can see very clearly, isn't as strong. And this might be the same for you. So really, you want to try to focus as much as you can on contracting your weaker side or getting both sides to release equally. So keep trying until your other side does the releasing like it just did there. You really want to try to fire those muscles as best as you can, because sometimes they just simply forget how to contract. And that's the best way of making them contract again. We're only going to spend a few more moments in this position. We just wanted to stretch out the bottoms of our feet because of the muscles we just worked on. So already recovering out of this position, return to that seated position for now. We're going to roll up the towel. So I'm going to show you how to do it, because we also want to work on spacing out the tarsals and the metatarsals of the foot, just to help give that foot a little bit mobility to now make up for that strength we were just working on. So if you need to, stand up so it's a little bit more pressure, and step on the towel. So the towel's on the mid part of your foot and the arch of your foot, and we're spacing apart our toes and relaxing. Spacing apart the toes and relaxing. So what we're doing is we're creating what's known as self-mobilizations with movement. So the towel underneath your foot is actually helping to lift and stretch out the ligaments on top of the tarsals and the metatarsals as we are doing these movements. So now rock back and forth onto your heel and onto your toes. I'll show you from a different angle. So you really want to make sure that you're trying to push down through to your big toe. This is going to help us reestablish a proper movement and mechanics with our feet. Now again, even though we have a towel underneath and we're using it to help stretch out the metatarsals and the metacarpals, ideally what we're really using it for is to just reestablish and try to ease any lack of elasticity in these ligaments, in these joints, because true arch stability comes from the top down. And space apart your toes and relax. And space and relax. So if I'm moving too fast for you, just slow it down at a pace that is best for you. And now rock back and forth. You may have to stagger your feet just a little bit to make the movement easier. When you're doing it, again, try to focus on stepping down on that big toe. That is where you should be pushing your weight off your foot when you are walking and propelling your body forward. So back on your heel and push off with your toe. Back on your heel, push off with your toe. Don't let yourself fall out to the edge of the outside of your foot. Keep the movement in the middle aspect. So that's another reason why we're utilizing the support of the towel right now. Is just going to help us reestablish that neurological connection as we are walking. And that's it for today. It's important that if you do have any foot weakness or foot pain, that you utilize this video at least 2 to 3 times a week. Incorporate it into your daily activities, especially if you know when you walk more on the outside of your foot, or when you walk, you roll too much on the inside of your foot and don't actually push off with your big toe. You're more so rolling on the inside of it. You need to strengthen your feet. You need to reestablish that strength under your arch, and you need to reestablish, to some extent, some flexibility underneath your feet so that the forces that you're putting through every step you're taking is being attenuated properly through the feet, so not as much stress and forces are being placed and being stuck in your feet, because ultimately this will make the health of your knees and your hips and your lower back, especially those joints, healthier. If you know anyone in your life who would benefit from this just like you are, please share this video from them. If you have any video requests for me to release in the future, don't forget to leave that in the comments below. And if you have any questions, please ask. Feel free to ask. I get back to every single one of you. And don't forget to subscribe, because if you don't, then you may not be notified of when I do release future videos. Thank you for all your support.